All right, day 371. Today, what we're looking for is we're going to go through and look at a property. I'm just filtering on properties that's been listed for the last 7 days. So I came across this property that's being listed for a 4-bedroom, which is exactly what I've been looking for to collect after repair values, ARVs. And today we're going to analyze this deal really quick. But most important, the goal for this property is to understand where the comparable properties are landing. So in 35221, if you remember a few days ago, right? What we've been doing has been we've been looking at all these properties, and we've been looking at creating a list of properties that are recently listed, so that you can stay on top of what's happening in the market. And this scenario, 1784 square feet, that's exactly the type of property that I want to have on my list. 1952, renovated, 1992. This property is being listed at 129. And 29000 equals that divided by that. Listed 10/3/2024, and then lot size. That's what we're going to want to pay attention to. 10,454. Is there garage? Let's see. Pretty renovated. New paint, new flooring. Kitchen looks fine. No garage. No basements. No HOA. Let's see what subdivision this property is in. And you remember correctly, right? How we look at the subdivision is that we just go to the area and we zoom out. Where's the closest one? This is in Germania Park. Germania, between Germania Park and what's the other area? Jones Valley. So now if I ever see a property that is dilapidated and it needs a lot of work, I can come back here and say, well, what comps do I have in this area between Germania Park and Jones Valley, right? These are all going to be very, very important items for you to stay on top of, so you understand, and most important, how to stay on top of your comparable property list. So this property is going to be newly painted. Floors look new or refinished from photos. Kitchen looks fine. Is there any photos of the bathrooms? Let's see. No photos of the bathroom. So maybe the photos are pretty old. If they don't have photos of the bathroom, I'm assuming it's old. Looks fine. No bathroom photos. Okay. So now that gives me a good sense of the value of the property. And right, if you remember how we've been analyzing these properties, we already know that it's not going to be a deal, 129,000. But we can still come up with a set of price and set of terms that might make it a deal. And we can do that really fast, right? Just based on all the reps that we've been doing together. Now, for us to get first is we need to get the HUD FMR, the fair market rents, HUD FMR, so we know what the rent ceiling is. Click on the first link after you Google HUD FMR. Click on Access Small Area FMR. So FY 2025. Click on the state. Click on the county. This is in Jefferson County for this property. And you can see that in 35221, your rent ceiling is 1580. All right, 1580. Great. Similar to that. So this is a comparable zip code, all things considering. 35221. And this is a 3-bed. And this is also 1420. Great. Now that I got these numbers in here, I get my market rent. When I go to affordablehousing.com and I go to the owner section, I go to the market rent estimator, plug in the address, plug in better count, I can see that the average rent for 25 units within a 1.88 mile radius is $1,284. 1284. Honestly, that's a little bit lower than what we've typically seen in this area, but you got to go with what the market states. So I might put 1250 here, to be honest with you, 1250. And at 1250, if I assume a 25% down payment in 19. And that means I have a down payment of B4 times my F19. And that means I have a down payment of 32 grand. So when my financing amount is calculated in K6, that's going to equal to my B4, my asking price, minus my down payment. So it's going to be 96,750. When I put in 7% in here, right, that's going to be the interest rate that I'm using for this property. The rest of my numbers I'm going to get right from Redfin, and I'm going to get my property tax number right from this calculator for 97 equals 97. And my insurance number is going to be equals 100. I always add a 20% premium because it's an investment property. And typically that insurance estimate is really for a property that is being used as a primary residence. So when I multiply 1.2 to add a little bit of premiums, because that's how insurance companies are going to view it as a riskier asset to insure, that gives me a little bit more expenses. So now that I got that in place, I got 10% set aside for maintenance. This is for landscaping. This is for money you're going to put aside, knowing that you're going to have a big roof replacement in 15, 20 years. You know you're going to replace that the HVAC, or you're going to replace a water heater at some point, right? These things all break. So this is money that doesn't belong to you. That's why I set aside this money. Then I got 10% for my property management. I got 5% for vacancy. So for this property, all right, I'm assuming my renovation is $4 grand. I'm not going to the details in there today. But now you can see that if you rent this property out at $1,250 for a property you bought for $129, that was going to yield you a cash flow of $77. And that's a 2.3% return. And again, that's not really ideal, quote unquote. Again, it's not investment advice. We're not soliciting any investments on this call. Just showing you how to work. I do every single day to put in the reps and understand. So for this to be a deal, you might have to put this down only to 95 grand. Boom. Right? This has been pretty consistent for 4 bedrooms. If you want to buy a property that's turnkey and you got to put a certain number of down payment in there, and you're able to get financing for the balance of that at 7%. So at $1,250, right, as you move your asking price down, you can see that the cash and cash return number in E9 goes up. So that's how we know that this is going to be tracking the right way. And now it's going to be 9.8%, which is much closer to a 10% target return, right? Obviously, 10% isn't exactly what you need all the time. I mean, people have different strategies. Some people might say, well, I just want to be in a place where I can make 5% on appreciation on these $1 million properties. And I just want to break even on my cash flow. Well, those folks, they don't really care about trying to make $246 a month. If they're making 5% on $1 million property, that's 50 grand, right? So that's why you have to decide what your strategy is and what your ultimate goal is. And that's why you got to talk to your own investment professional that understands your risk tolerance, your strategy behind your portfolio, and ultimately what's your execution risk, right? Do you have a team in place that can take care of all this stuff? And obviously, I understand how scary it is to get started, right? So this is why I brought on a ton of people onto the podcast for all of you. Now, if you are specific for single family homes, I'll point you to a few podcasts. Tyler, he's a GC in Kansas City, right? He used to be a Section 8 inspector. I'm not saying he's going to be the best contractor that you're ever going to know, but at least you know where to get started. At least you know who to reach out to get a quote, right? Who else do I have in here? I got this gentleman right here. He's in Houston. I got Tyler. He's a contractor in Atlanta. I had Stu come on. He has his own Section 8 placement company in Detroit. He can also have crews that can help you with all the renovations. So you guys can just watch all these podcast episodes, reach out to these resources, and there's no gatekeeping. I really sincerely want you all to feel comfortable about taking the next step. And that next step could be, one, starting your own YouTube channel, right? You could be analyzing the same deals that I'm analyzing every single day and putting in the reps and building out your own YouTube channel. If you guys want to copy the spreadsheet I used today, I didn't make it from scratch. I got it from a few other folks. I combined it, tweaked it, I modified it for my own, based on my own experience. And every market's going to be different. But if you want to copy the spreadsheet, go to affordablehousing.io, put in your name, your email, your phone number. That's the fastest way for you to get a copy of the spreadsheet. I'm not going to spam you. And then my hope is that you copy my homework and on your own YouTube channel. Because when the time comes and someone asks you, hey, why do you think this is a deal? You can show them, hey, I know this is a deal because I've been looking at deals for every single day for the past 371 days, and these were not deals. That's how you build on the reps. That's how you build on comments that you know what you're doing when the time comes. All right, I hope that was helpful. So today, what do? We looked at a property, just came on the market, right? You can analyze the same deal I analyzed today. This just came on the MLS 2 days ago. And then what do? We analyzed it using the spreadsheet right here. And at the end of the day, I also started building out my Burr list, which means that this is my list of comparable properties by zip code so that I'm tracking what is coming onto the market in the last 3 to 6 months or sold in the last 3 to 6 months. So that when I see another property that's, let's say, a 2-bedroom property, and I want to convert it to a 4-bedroom through the Burr process, which is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat, well, I need to know what my ARV is. And for you to get a really good analysis of whether or not you're going to be able to pull back out a majority of your capital that you invest into the deal is by getting your ARV as accurate as possible. Even though there's no science, it's all an art, but you got to have the right rationale behind it. If you guys want to see how I analyze a deal, I did a pretty comprehensive Burr analysis on day 368. I did another one on day 365 on my live. So you can go to youtube.com, check that out and see how I analyze a Burr property. I hope you all have an amazing Saturday. I'll be back here again tomorrow for day 372, talking about a different topic, but I probably won't be analyzing a deal tomorrow. All right. Have a good one, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow for day 372.